Today, we are going to learn the topic menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle means the cyclic events takes place in the reproductive system of primate mammals. We should know about the concept of menstrual cycle because children of teenage usually be confused with this concept, and at least a few of them do not know what is menstrual cycle. A friend or a neighbor may be asking you, what is menstrual cycle? As a student, you are responsible to clear the doubt of your neighbor or that friend. Okay, let me come to the point. We know that in case of males, in one ejaculation, it consists of millions of sperms. But in case of females, there is only one ovum released every month from one of the ovaries. Why this ovum is released? In order to take part in fertilization or in order to get fertilized. But every month when one ovum is released and if it is fertilized, it could be unimaginable. Yes? Therefore, we know when one egg is released from the ovary, it moves through the fallopian tube and get implanted in the uterine wall endometrium. Why it is implanted there? The system is considering it as a zygote or seed. Just like when we are implanting one mango seed and you will make a pit and put the seed inside it and we cover with soil, and after a few days it may germinate. Just like the ovum released from the ovary will get implanted into the uterine wall. But in the absence of fertilization, it cannot develop further. Therefore, the reproductive system, due to some hormonal influences, it should be ruptured from there and released out from that uterus. We know, I'll tell one simple example. Suppose if some body hairs are plucked from your hand, what you will feel? Of course, some pain. Why? Because it is embedded there in the skin, like implanted there. So when you are plucking out, it feels some pain and also blood will come out from there. Why? Because it is already implanted. In menstrual cycle also the same thing we can see. The implanted ovum, in the absence of fertilization, it do not develop into the embryo. Therefore, it should be ruptured from there and released out from that uterus. So it could feel pain as well as bleeding since that part is injured. So it will take time to heal that injury. Like that, in menstrual cycle it's happening. Now let's come to learn the concept menstrual cycle. I told that the menstrual cycle is the cyclic events that takes place in the reproductive system of primate mammals. You know that mammals are animals which give birth to the young ones and feed their young ones with mammary glands. Within these mammals, they are classified into primate mammals and non-primate mammals. The primate mammals examples are like human, monkeys, etc. Whereas the non-primate mammals, which include cow, lion, etc. As I told that the reproductive system of primate mammals, some cyclic changes are taking place, and that's known as the menarche. Is the first menstrual cycle that occurred during the puberty around 13 years. There are mainly 4 phases in the menstrual cycle, that are the menstrual phase, follicular phase is otherwise known as the proliferative phase. Next is the ovulatory phase. And fourth is the luteal phase. Luteal phase is also otherwise known as secretory phase. So these are the 4 phases of menstrual cycle. The phases of menstrual cycle are: first one, the menstrual phase; second, the follicular phase; third, the ovulatory phase; and fourth is the luteal phase. The first phase, the menstrual phase, which lasts for 3 to 5 days, and the follicular phase or the proliferative phase, which may last from 5 to 13th day, and ovulatory phase, which happens on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle, that is the middle of the menstrual cycle. Luteal phase, which may last from 15th to 28th. The onset of first menstrual cycle to the next, it takes some 28 days. 28 days, it's known as one mensum. The meaning of the word mensum means month, lunar month. In moon, there's only 28 days in 1 month. It's called the mensum. So that is why the term menstrual cycle is taken into consideration. Menstrual phase, which may last from 3 to 5 days of the menstrual cycle, the endometrium of the uterine wall ruptured, and that results in the bleeding. It may consist of the broken cells of the endometrium, blood, unfertilized ovum, and mucus. During the menstrual phase, a bleeding occurs. This is because the unfertilized egg is ruptured from the uterine wall, that is from the endometrium, along with broken cells of the endometrium, blood, and the unfertilized ovum and mucus is discharged through vagina. This menstrual flow, which may last from 3 to 5 days, that is in the menstrual phase. Lack of menstruation may be an indicative of pregnancy, but menstruation can also happen due to some underlying causes like some stress, poor health conditions, etc. Moving on to the next is the second phase, that is the follicular phase. Second phase is the follicular phase. Follicular phase is otherwise known as the proliferative phase. It lasts from 5 to 13th day of the menstrual cycle. The proliferative phase, which starts from 5th to 13th day of the menstrual cycle. During the follicular phase, the ruptured endometrium undergo proliferation and it regains proliferation of endometrium. It is taking place in the uterus. At the same time, in the ovary, the follicles are developing. Follicles are developing. The growth of follicles or follicular growth. That is, we have learned from the primary follicles to the mature Graafian follicle. The primary follicles undergo further developments and it changes into Graafian follicle at the 13th day of menstrual cycle. So that's why it is called the follicular phase or proliferative phase. During this phase, there are some hormones which involved like the FSH and LH, the pituitary hormones, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, which we have already discussed in the previous session, and this stimulates some ovarian hormones like estrogen and progesterone. But during the follicular phase, progesterone is not formed. It will only form during the luteal phase, that is after the ovulation. Go on to the next is the ovulatory phase. As we know that the menstrual cycle, which may last from first day, second, third, like on the 14th day, and if it is 28th day, if it ends, that is the middle of the menstrual cycle, that is on the 14th day exactly, ovulation is taking place. Ovulation is taking place on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. What is ovulation? We know that the mature Graafian follicles it ruptures and the egg is released. This process is called ovulation, and we know that this is the secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte, and these are the follicle cells. This is mature Graafian follicle. Mature Graafian follicle. During this ovulatory phase, that is on the 14th day, the hormone levels are becoming maximum. That is the LH level, luteinizing hormone level, it is coming to the maximum peak of it, which is known as the LH surge. LH surge, it becomes maximum during the, also the luteinizing hormone level, the follicle stimulating hormone level, FSH is also becoming more during this phase. The ovulatory phase or ovulation, which takes place on the 14th day, that is exact on the middle of the menstrual cycle.